Celebrating the great things happening every day in our schools is part of the joy of being an administrator. As you embark on your Numeracy Learning Walk, some of the things to watch and listen for include seeing the 7 mathematical processes in action. As part of the Ministry Math Curriculum document, these 7 mathematical processes effectively describe the actions of doing mathematics. They support the acquisition and application of mathematical knowledge and skills. They can be divided into 3 areas of the achievement chart: thinking, communication, and application. Students apply the mathematical processes as they learn content. It is easy to see how important communicating is as part of the process, not just in math, but as an underpinning skill across all Ontario curriculum. Connecting the learning at hand to a big idea. A big idea is a statement of an idea that is central to the learning of mathematics, one that links numerous mathematical understandings into a coherent whole. The content of math lessons should be focused around big ideas from the Ontario Curriculum for Mathematics. To learn more about math processes and big ideas, please access the resources found below this screen. As you visit classrooms, it is important to note the math curriculum being taught. Math lessons should be connected to the big ideas found in the Ontario Math Curriculum. The left-hand part of the slide reflects some of the basic organizational principles and elements in our math curriculum. The right-hand side of the slide represents a sample of the big ideas woven throughout our K-12 curriculum documents. Our curriculum documents contain overall expectations, specific expectations, and strands of mathematics studied. The big ideas of math for each grade are found within the specific expectation groupings. The 2 articles below this screen give further insight into this. These are some of the things you might see students engaged in when on a math learning walk. All are high-yield numeracy practices that have been proven as very effective in the instruction of mathematics. Take a moment to read the list. To learn more about these practices, please access the resources listed below. On a math learning walk, you may observe the 3-part lesson in action. The minds-on part of the 3-part lesson is brief, collaborative, and provides a window into students' prior knowledge and understandings. The purpose of this part of the lesson is to cognitively prepare students for the mathematics, big ideas, and learning goals that they will encounter in the 2nd and 3rd parts of the lesson. The action part of the 3-part lesson plan focuses on solving the lesson's problem. Here you may observe students working in small groups, pairs, or individually. The after part of the 3-part lesson plan focuses on consolidation of the learning. This is the part of the lesson that allows students to synthesize the ideas presented in order to improve their conceptual understanding. Consolidation includes discussion of mathematical concepts, strategies, and mathematical communication. Consolidation can involve a gallery walk, math congress, or band show. These activities are often followed by the coordination of a whole class discussion that analyzes student solutions. The discussion includes recounting key mathematical ideas and strategies related to the learning goal of the lesson. It isn't enough for students to simply be able to arrive at an answer. They must be able to explain how they arrived at that answer, misconceptions and problems they encountered, and be able to explain the reasonableness of their solution. After the consolidation conversations take place, practicing new learning occurs. Students are often asked to solve a problem that is similar to the lesson problem in order to practice applying new ideas and strategies. Students' accountable talk is a key component of each part of the 3-part lesson. To learn more about the 3-part lesson, please access the resources available below. Take a moment to read this chart. Actions students and teachers might engage in during a 3-part lesson plan are identified. This chart describes what you may see or hear participants doing. This chart can bring focus and precision to what we look for in a math lesson and makes us mindful of what to observe during a math learning walk. Below are some videos that can support further learning. As you walk through classes, listen carefully. You may hear students justifying their math thinking using math terminology. You may hear students using math language to explain and describe their understanding of mathematical ideas and concepts. You may hear students talk about their choice of strategy. The use of mathematical language helps students deepen their math knowledge and gain insights into their own thinking. Math words have specialized meaning. It is important that students understand these math words and use them when describing their work. Some words are content related and some words are process related. Math vocabulary should be taught before the lesson and used during the teaching of the lesson. Students should be encouraged to use these math words when involved in math discussions. Math vocabulary should be visibly posted in the classroom. Oral and written communication is important in the math classroom. Oral communication includes talking, listening, questioning, explaining, defining, discussing, describing, justifying, and defending math learning. When students participate in these actions in an active, focused, and purposeful way, they are furthering their own understanding of mathematics. Through listening, talking, and writing about mathematics, students are prompted to organize, reorganize, and consolidate their mathematical thinking and understanding. By analyzing, evaluating, and building on the mathematical thinking and strategies of others, students often deepen their own understanding. Here are some questions you may ask yourself when on a math learning walk. How did students identify what they already know? Did students identify what they need to know? In what ways did students show their math calculations? Can students explain how they used a strategy to get the answer? What math vocabulary was used in the explanations? On your math learning walk, pay attention to who is doing the talking during the lesson. Look to see who is asking the questions. Listen to understand the focus of the talk. What happens when someone makes a mistake? What are students saying? What are teachers saying? Research supports the role of dialogue and discourse in the math classroom. Talking with others about ideas and work is fundamental to learning. Accountable talk is fundamental to an effective math lesson as it helps students think. Talking allows students to sift and sort through mathematical ideas and concepts and sharpens student thinking by reinforcing their ability to build and use knowledge. Talking allows students to press for clarification and explanations, justify proposals and challenges, recognize and challenge misconceptions, and provide evidence for their math claims and arguments. Accountable talk is not just for the individual learner, it benefits the whole learning community. The excellent resources below can be used for further dialogue. During the action part of the three-part lesson plan, you will observe students engaged in solving problems, either independently, in pairs, or in groups. You will hear students asking each other questions. You will listen to students mathematizing as they sift through possible ways to answer a problem. Problem solving is key in math lessons. It is the place where concepts become real and offer opportunity to connect to the learner's world. On your learning walk, it is important to look at the math problems students are working on. Math problems should be designed to challenge students' thinking, encourage students to work collaboratively, and engage student perseverance in finding a solution. A good math problem has more than one way to get to the right answer and can be solved many ways using a variety of different strategies. A good math problem can have more than one right answer. Good math problems require students to connect new ideas to previously learned ones. They pique student curiosity and often have a creative element. They enable students to explore mathematical relationships, find patterns, put forth different explanations, and create mathematical conjectures. Problem solving is a necessary life skill for students to be successful in their daily lives and in their chosen careers. In today's mathematical classrooms, students and teachers build a mathematical community, working together to solve problems. As you read this slide, you will recognize some strategies that students commonly use to solve problems. On your math learning walk, look at students' work carefully to find evidence of these strategies. Observe students as they participate in group work. Look at what is written on chart paper and listen closely to student discussions. Strategies and reasoning become apparent. Problem solving is richer and more relevant when students make connections to real-life situations. Connections to the student's world, classroom activities, families, friends, people in their lives, and their own interests are helpful for deepening meaning for student learning. Cross-curricular connections to learning also deepen student understanding. During your math learning walks, look for students using math models to represent their work. In order to mathematize, children must learn to see, organize, and interpret the world through and with mathematical models. Math models begin simply as representations of situations, or problems, by learners. These models of situations eventually become generalized and become a blueprint that helps guide and operationalize student thinking. Number lines, T-charts, open arrays, clocks, and ratio tables are all examples of mental models. It is important to take note of what models students use when they begin to solve a problem. Models that are developed well can become powerful tools for thinking. On your math learning walk, look to see if student work is differentiated. Instruction can be differentiated through the content taught, the processes used, or the task assigned. Differentiation should link to the big ideas of the lesson. Student interest, readiness, and learning profile must be considered in the lesson planning. One of the most effective means to address student needs is through the questions teachers pose during instruction and assessment. Good questions should focus on important mathematics, engage every learner, and offer possibilities for each learner to participate in a rich mathematical conversation, no matter what their stage of learning. Open and parallel tasks are an effective way to differentiate math learning as they keep the concept being explored at the core of learning. Open-ended math problems lend themselves to effective, differentiated instruction since they are written in such a way that allows students to look at and respond to the problem in different ways, with different entry points, in order to make sense of the mathematical concept being explored. Here, the elementary examples are green and secondary are red. A question is considered open when it is framed in such a way that as many responses and approaches are possible. By framing questions in this way, students are given the chance to approach the problem at their own level and to solve the problem using the best techniques they know. It is important to note that a good open question can have more than one correct answer. Parallel tasks are defined as sets of tasks, 2 or 3, that are designed to meet the needs of students at different developmental levels, but that get at the same big ideas and are close enough in context that they can be explained simultaneously. Using open and parallel tasks gives students choice and ownership over their learning. On your math learning walk, you may see students working with manipulatives during the doing part of the lesson. Math manipulatives are used as concrete learning tools to make models of mathematical ideas and are developmentally appropriate from K to 12. A math manipulative is an object which is designed so that a learner can perceive a mathematical concept by manipulating it. The use of manipulatives provides a way for students to learn concepts in a developmentally appropriate, hands-on, and experiential way. These learning tools invite students to represent abstract mathematical ideas in varied, concrete, tactile, and visibly rich ways. Manipulatives are frequently used in the first steps of teaching mathematical concepts. They help deepen and extend students' understanding. Pattern blocks, number lines, interlocking cubes, Cuisenaire rods, geometric shapes, and base 10 blocks are all examples of math manipulatives. Pay attention to the type of numbers used during a math class. Ask yourself if the numbers used in the instruction task are friendly. A friendly number is simply a number that is easy to work with. A friendly number is accessible to all. The term normally refers to numbers that are multiples of 10, but can also include numbers that are multiples of 2 and 5. Using friendly numbers helps deepen students' understanding of how numbers work. It also encourages the use of mental math while focusing on mathematical reasoning. You will observe students using anchor charts on your math learning walk. Anchor charts help scaffold the learning for students. They help students practice concepts while on their road to independent work. Anchor charts provide a reference point for students. They can break down processes step by step so that students meet with success when working on tasks and problems. Look at the graphic organizers shown on this slide. You may see students using these thinking tools during your learning walks. A graphic organizer is a visual and graphic display that depicts the relationships among facts, numbers, terms, and ideas within a learning task. They help to increase student learning. They serve as a tool to support thinking and learning processes. Students use graphic organizers to sift and sort information that they are working with. Graphic organizers help students to develop, organize, and communicate their ideas. They help students to see connections, patterns, and relationships. They help students to classify or categorize concepts, ideas, and information. They can also improve social interaction between students and facilitate group work and collaboration. Graphic organizers in math are often used to help students work through problems. On your math learning walk, you will see students working together in pairs or with assigned math partners. You may hear students spend a lot of time talking about math. You may hear them questioning each other and sharing ideas. You may see them listening, and you may hear them politely challenging each other's thinking. You may see students sharing chart paper and collaborating on finding a suitable solution. Students may be using manipulatives to find alternative ways to approach the problem. This is considered desirable pedagogy. During a math learning walk, you may observe guided math groups in action. Guided math groups are similar to guided reading groups. The teacher puts students into small groups, and the students work on specific skills and concepts. Guided math groups are designed to reinforce student learning. They are small groups focused on mastering a specific learning skill. Observe what the teacher is doing and what the students are doing. Guided math groups allow for differentiation. Instruction is geared toward a learning need. On your math learning walk, look for learning goals and success criteria. Learning goals help define the math learning that will take place in a lesson. Success criteria identify steps that students need to take to successfully complete the task assigned. Learning goals and success criteria should connect to the achievement chart and link to the 7 mathematical processes. Assessment for learning in mathematics looks different. Focus is placed on the process and procedure used, as well as concept development. Learning goals are important. Students being able to explain their mathematical thinking is important. Observation of students at work is essential. Identifying next steps from students' work is important. Success criteria are often determined at the end of the 3-part lesson, as part of the lesson's consolidation. Watch and listen to what the student says and what the student does during your math learning walk. Observation is key. It is important to observe students working in the moment as well as working in groups. These questions might help to focus your observations and help you reflect during your classroom visit. Do students possess a growth mindset toward math? Are they positive and willing to try different approaches to solving problems? What were the mathematics that the students demonstrated? Did the task elicit mathematics that connect to the learning goal? Did the students understand the task? How do you know? What strategies were used by the students to work through problems? Did the student groupings work? In what way? What kind of math talk did you hear from students? Did students change their answer along the way? If so, in what way? What kinds of questions were students asking each other? Describe any misconceptions that surfaced regarding the math. What is the teacher doing during group time? Do the teacher's questions help students focus on making sense of the math they are learning? Descriptive feedback is vital for students to receive during a math lesson. Feedback keeps the learner sharp and helps students develop self-assessment skills. Feedback should be connected to learning goals and success criteria. It can be given orally or in written form. It should be short and focused. It should provide next steps for the student. It should also recognize students' perseverance and efforts. Feedback needs to be scaffolded for the learner. Students achieving level 2 will require different types of feedback than students working at level 4. Some students may require an example of how to do something. Some may need directions. Others may need prompting, and some may need reminders or questions. Technology is often an integral part of a math lesson. On your journey, you may see handheld devices used as math tools. You may see interactive lessons on whiteboards and smartboards. Students may be using math computer programs to reinforce their learning, or may be involved in playing math games with other students on the computer. iPads are often used to assist individual students. Technology is very visible in all our math classrooms K-12. Identify and observe how the technology is being used.